Hi everyone, and welcome to day 15 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot. And today we continue our journey into the court cards. And the prompt yesterday really had me thinking. I thought that was such a good question. Who would you marry? Who would you date? Who would be, your best friend? Who would be your mortal enemy? Such a good exercise, and I loved it because it did challenge me. Today it has me thinking. Because the question is, are the court cards outdated? Are they actually required as a part of, the tarot journey? And good questions again. So, are they outdated? Well, obviously that is a matter of opinion. Personally, I don't feel when I use a tarot deck that they are outdated. I don't even know that anyone has suggested that they are so far in this challenge, but I do understand if, say, somebody, especially a younger person, picks up a deck of cards and looks at the artwork and they may not relate to a king or a queen. They might think, why do we have a king and a queen? I mean, we don't have a king and a queen in my country. What is that all about? Why do they wear tights? Why are they dressed in those clothes? They're so outdated. I can kind of understand where they would be coming from. However, I, like most of you, don't look at them simply as characters, as people. Yes, they can be people, absolutely. I've seen it in many reads. They can also be a part of your own psyche. Often that happens. And more often than not, the court cards represent the energy of a situation or an occurrence, you might say. So I think they are an important part of the tarot. However, there are certain decks that are majors only and people still use them without a hitch, don't they? But I like the 78 cards, and I think the court cards bring yet another element, yet more depth into the journey of the Fool. I wouldn't want them to go anywhere. And of course, I was using a very sort of, cliche example, look at an older style deck with older style artwork that obviously pertains to a period of time when that style of artwork was in. The deck might be a copy. It's pertaining to history, and I love that. I think we're losing so much history and so much culture. I'd hate to see the court cards go for that very reason. But what I do love is there are other decks. Look what we have here as an example. The Wild Unknown, featuring nature. And you could also say, it's a very modern depiction of the court cards. However, we still understand exactly what those cards are telling us. So again, I think that there are different ways of looking at the court cards, and I love that as well. So different teachers may encourage you to look at court cards differently and bring an even deeper element or more of a multi-layered philosophy towards tarot by bringing in these views of the court cards. I think, yes, they're nothing to be afraid of, but I will be honest with you. When I first started learning, I felt a bit stumped by the court cards. And I think that came from a lot of student talk where other people in my class were, what people are very kind of enthused and they say, I know what that king is, that's blah, blah, blah. And I listened to too many people instead of just going within, and taking in what my teacher said and then going within. It took me longer to get there with the court cards on an intuitive level than with the rest of the deck. However, that smoothed over and I think for me I'd feel like something is missing. So are they needed? I don't know whether you call it needed, but I think they certainly have a place, and I would suspect that most tarotists and tarot enthusiasts would prefer to keep the court cards right where they are. When you think about, say, the page, as an energy or as a flavor, as a hint of color in a spread, it's like a beginning, but it's a slower beginning than an ace. It is a little more vulnerable in energy to me there is a certain naivety or lack of experience with the page, whereas the ace is just kabow. And someone on the 31 days was talking about that, I think. You know, why have a page when there's an ace? They're both beginnings. But to me, there's a very big difference between that type of beginning. You know, it's almost like the page envelops that little spark of something new, whereas the ace is more like bow and arrow, you know, heading straight for the target. So a gentle, slower paced beginning that holds great potential is the page, but we have to keep in mind that there's a certain fragility with that energy, and then from there I add the element. And then with the knight, it's more about, for me, movement. The knight is related to change. You know, once that potential begins to grow, you water that garden and the seed turns to a bud. And as the bud, you know, continues to sprout and grow, there's the knight. They're never the same for very long. They're not meant to be. They are movement. And they adapt under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances, they can adapt quite easily to their surrounding circumstances. I mean, the Knight of Pentacles is a little different in some decks. But I think there's, you know, he has a reason. If he stops for a moment, if he pauses, he has a reason for it. It can be like a slightly restless energy, especially the fire, obviously, but it certainly is changeable to me. And, you know, sometimes you can look at that energy as like a training, an energy in training, until you get to the Queen, where commitment steps in. Oh, I can see now the plant, you know, is upright and it's about to flower. It's getting a little bit of height. It accepted the water and it grew. And then, you know, the Queen says, okay, I'm going to keep going. You know, this energy really has some substance behind it now. You know, it has, there is commitment, because we can see the light at the end of the tunnel by the time we get to the Queen. We're starting to get a sense of maturity, and, you know, we have a little bit of experience behind us because we went through the changes at the Knight. And then, of course, the King can be this sense of completion, almost like a 10, but it's different again, obviously. But yeah, we get to the last stage of the 4-step process, and the King says, aha, you know, now I really know where I'm at. I do have that sense of maturity that I can utilize. It's something that I can actually give and show and use and push and share. So there's great motivation and authority behind the energy of the King. Of course, court cards can be yourself, it can be someone else, it can be an energy within, it can be an energy without. And I think there's so much diversity in the area of the court cards. I think we need them. Yes, I do. Anyway, it's just very interesting, isn't it? Love it. I think that's all I have to say. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.